All right, so yesterday the whole point was kind of solving questions or doing questions and just kind of knowing what a proportional relationship looks like versus a non-proportional, when something is proportional versus when something isn't. All right, so today what we're going to do is we're not going to see, oh, is this proportional or not. What we're doing is they're saying these things are proportional to each other, but they're going to want us to fill in some missing information. Okay, that's kind of the main part of it. All right. So yesterday, remember, our word was proportional. It was the adjective form. Today, it's pretty much the same meaning, but it's not. It's a noun form. That first word is proportion. Everyone. Proportion. So your book says the proportion is a statement of equality of two or more ratios. A statement of equality of two or more ratios. So in your little box off to the side, go ahead and put equivalent fractions. Okay. Now we do have one more word. Here it is. That word is cross products. Everyone? Cross products. Okay, now before I give you the definition and the synonym or a little hint for the box, let me, I do have a little story to share with you guys, all right? And here it is, okay? When you guys are in elementary school, you guys will have a problem that may look like this, okay? And you're rarely talking about ratios. Maybe you were, but mainly equivalent fractions. In elementary school, what you realized was, oh, whatever I do on the bottom, I do on the top. And that is, of course, how you would get that missing number. Okay? However, what you didn't realize is that the person that made those problems up for you in elementary school were giving you some easier problems where you can actually use this method. Now, as you get older, that method doesn't always work, unfortunately. All right? So, we want to know, well, 4 times what is 6, and we're going to do the same thing at the top. But there is no exact integer that works with. Okay? Now, here's something else that in the past someone realized. When you have two fractions, or what we're talking about today, two equivalent ratios, all right, proportions, here's what they realized. If you have two like this, if diagonally you multiply them, 2 times 2 gives us 4. 4 times 1 gives us 4. Okay, they realized that they called this cross products. Okay, now it works on anything that is the same. 6 times 6 is 36. 12 times 3 is 36. They realized that if the two fractions, or in today's case, the ratios, are proportional, if it's a proportion, the cross products are going to be equal. Okay? So, here's what that does. We know that 6 times 2 is 12. Well, that means that this times this missing number is going to be 12. What's that missing number? 3. Okay. Now I'm going to show you, of course, that this is an extremely easy one, all right, where you guys could probably look at it and realize that it was 3. But I'm going to show you a way to use cross products to be able to find out that missing number when we're talking about decimals or harder numbers or larger numbers than just 2/4 and 3/6. Okay? So here's what your book says cross products are. It says if A, this is A over C, bless you, is equal to B over D, then A times D is equal to B times C. And all that is it's just telling you exactly what I said. Look at A over C is equal to B over D. That means that A times D is equal to B times C. Now, the opposite can be said as well. If you have something like A times D being equal to B times C, then you can write it as A over C equals B over D. Now, that would be more of an algebraic form of a definition that your book gives you. Okay? Here's what I tell you. 1/2 is equal to 3/6. That then means that, and why don't you write this as a fraction, 1/2 is equal to 3/6, then 1 times 6 is equal to 2 times 3. And yes, we all should be writing that down, right? We're taking notes. We shouldn't be daydreaming right now. If 1/2 equals 3/6, then 1 times 6 would be equal to 2 times 3. Bless you. Okay. Any questions on this, especially the whole idea of cross products and how they're equal to each other? There absolutely will be letters. There will be variables. Okay, they're not all going to be variables though. We're going to do some problems. You'll see. Okay, this is just in algebraic form. Okay, and you'll see more of that when you get older. But right now, this up here is what you would have to worry about, like we were talking up here. A little more challenging than that. All right, here we go. So, actually for today, that is all of our notes. So you can go ahead and grab your book. Grab a piece of paper. First and last name on the paper. Period. Book page. Okay, that book page is 221. So after you put it on your paper, take your book, flip over to 221. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a look at problem number 12 on our homework. 12 is the ratio 18 to 15. Now, by the way, the direction says solve each proportion, so that is saying that they are proportional to each other. Okay, they're equal to each other. So we have 18 over 15 is equal to 9 over, and the variable they give us is s. Now, please listen carefully. You will come across some of these problems that actually will allow you to use your elementary school skills. But that's not the objective of today's lesson. As an advanced Math 7 student, you are to use the skill of cross products. Now, the nice part is if you're doing an easier problem, and you want to double check it using your elementary skills that you're familiar with, then do it. And that way you can make sure that you have the correct answer. Okay? But I still want you to use cross products because you're going to see it's going to slowly get more challenging. All right? So, with that said, here's what we're going to do. Okay? Step one is we're going to go ahead and we're going to write an equation just like what is in our notes, and here it is. 15 times 9, we know 15 times 9 is the same as 18 times s. So I'm going to write that as an equation. 15 times 9 is the same as, and in math, right, that's an equal sign, is the same as 18 times s. Okay, now, step two, on this particular problem, you're going to go ahead and you're going to simplify both sides of the equation. So 15 times 9, I'm okay with you for the multiplication, right? on bigger ones using your calculator, I get 135 equals, now 18 times s, the only way you can simplify that is just using the 18 as what's called a coefficient and putting the variable right next to it, 18s. Step 3, solve your equation. All right, it's a one-step equation. Remember, the whole point is to isolate the variable. You learned that in elementary school. To isolate the variable, meaning get it by itself, all right, we need to get rid of the 18. And the way you get rid of the 18 is by doing the inverse, all right, the inverse operation. In this case, because it's multiplication, 18 times s, the inverse, the opposite is division. Now, as a 7th grader, you show your division just like that. And don't forget, of course, with one-step equations, it's like being fair. Whatever you do to one side, we're going to do to the other. And so this is what gets rid of the 18. So we end up with s is equal to, and then we have 135 divided by 18. And we end up with 7 5/10, or 7.5. And that's our answer. Okay, please do not ask me, Mr. Wilkins, do we need to show all that work? Okay, I don't want to hear that question. All right, so if you have other questions on the steps, all right, please ask.
Do we have to show it's not about all the work, it's about where it's just writing the equations and you still have to show that the first?
Okay, what kind of work do you guys have to show? How do you know what kind of work you should show on your homework? Or do I just send you home with homework to do? Here you go, guys. Go do some homework. Do that stuff on book page, whatever. Go. Is that how this math class works? No. All right. We have a video right here that we're taping right now that shows it, right? We've talked about this since day one. If you don't know the answer to this question, how do you know what kind of work you should show on your homework? Who can tell me?
The steps that take you to the answer.
Steps that you take to get your answer. Talking about these steps. Bottom line is the work we do together is the work I expect you to do. It's not that hard, guys. That deserves a candy. Ready? Good job. Okay, so guys, do you have to show this? If you're looking for the answer and you couldn't understand what I just said, the answer is yes. You do need to show that. All right, it's clear cut right there. All right, I'm gonna let you practice. Again, if you weren't listening to me a second ago when I said I'm going to acknowledge that you can use elementary school math on this, I acknowledged it. You can use 18 divided by 2 is 9, 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. When I give you decimal points and you just are destined not to do it my way, you're going to do it your own way, you're going to get stuck and you're not going to succeed at the next level. Okay, and that's what I want for you is I want you to succeed at the next level. That's why we do work like this. I don't just bombard you with extremely hard problems right off the bat. We're going to work there. But some of us still refuse to do it the way that I'm showing you, and some of us are struggling because we don't want to do that kind of work. Okay? So please follow the steps. You should, yes. Okay, guys, get used to this, and it's a good question because we haven't talked about that part, but should we show our work or express our answer with the variable equals? And the answer is yes, because you're going to see in a little while this school year, we're going to do something called inequalities, and then on top of that, there's going to be things later on towards the end of the year where we're going to have more than one variable in a problem. So you need to clarify which variable you're talking about, and then you need to clarify whether or not it's an equal sign or an inequality sign. So if you get used to this now, that transition will be easy later. Okay? Good question. All right, guys. Any other questions before I give you guys one to try? All right, here we go. Problem 10. Problem 10 on your homework. All right, go. Okay, guys, how many of you are still working on that problem? Okay. I'll give you about 15 to 20 more seconds. Okay. 30 seconds. Go ahead and listen. When you turn to your neighbors, going right back to this, you can start with the answer because that's what a lot of us will care about at the beginning. But I want to make sure you look and make sure your guys' equations match. The 18 times s could be on this side. 15 times 9 could be on that. They could be flip-flopped, and that's okay. All right? 15 times 9 could be 9 times 15, and that's okay. Okay? But I'm saying make sure the product on each side ends up being the same. Okay? All right, 30 seconds. Turn to your neighbor and share. Go.
I got 42 equals
All right, here we go. So we have an 8 to 12 ratio is proportional to 28 to m. All right? So we know, according to cross products, 8 times m is going to be equivalent to 12 times 28. So I'm going to go ahead and write that out. 8 times m is equivalent to 12 times 28. So when I simplify both sides, I end up with 8m equals, and then our 12 times 28 is 336. And then because it's a one-step equation, I'm isolating the m, so I'm going to divide both sides by 8, which allows those to cancel. And we end up with m equals 336 divided by 8 equals 42. All right, questions? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at another type of problem. Let's take a look at problem 24. Problem 24. All right, on 24, let's go ahead and all this is exactly the same type of problem, but it is in a word problem form. All right, so let's go ahead and close read 24. It says, the record for the most amount of rain in the shortest period of time in the United States was 12 inches and 42 minutes. How much rain fell in 15 minutes? And then it says in 28 minutes. So basically, the 2 question marks means 2 questions, which means 2 answers. All right, so here we go. What we're going to see here is we are going to see the exact same thing, but we have to write this. We're going to have to write our proportion. So here's all you do, guys. Step 1 is find the 2 pieces of related information and write a rate. Okay? Now, related information a lot of times will, sometimes it might be the same units, but a lot of times it won't be the same units. A lot of times, not every time, a lot of times it's in the same sentence. Okay? And just read it. Use your reading comprehension skills. So it just says, right? It talks about the record, blah, 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 blah. But here's what's important. 12 inches and 42 minutes. Those two, it's how much rain goes in how much time. Those are related to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that exact thing down. 12. And now listen, a rate has units. You can abbreviate the units, but it does have units. So it is 12 inches. I'll put IN over 42 minutes. So I'll put MIN. Now, step 2, okay, is set up your proportion. Set up your proportion. Now listen, this is very important. Your units should always be side to side, meaning inches next to inches, minutes next to minutes. Step 3. We'll call this missing info. All right. Fill in the missing information based off of the question. You might want to put the word question here, based off the question. So here's what it's saying. How much rain fell in 15 minutes? Guys, where does minutes go? Top or bottom?
Bottom.
Exactly, right? That's where they were before and that's where they are now. That's why it's so important. Set up your proportion the right way. Now comes step 4. And let's go ahead and put the word equation and solve, which means step 4 is everything we did in our last problem. Okay? So, here we go. Now listen, we have some missing info here. All right? If you want to just call it X, that's okay. All right? They don't give you a variable. You can use I. Sometimes that looks kind of weird, though, for I for inches, the amount of inches. Okay, but I'm not too picky about the variable if they don't give it to you. All right, here's what I am picky about that you guys need to make sure you do. Use your cross products correctly. So we know that 12 times 15 is equal to 42 times X. There's our equation. Okay, on the left side, right, we have 12 times 15, which gives us, simplifying it, 180. So we have 180 equals 42x. And then 42x, we need to get the x by itself. So we do the inverse, we divide by 42 and divide by 42. So that gives us x equals, and so we have 180 divided by 42 equals, and here's what we have. 4.2857142. Okay, you guys get the idea.
You have to round?
Okay, so yes, we do have to round. So if I take a look at the directions, it doesn't tell us. So listen, okay, in 7th grade, here's what I would like you to do. Here's our rule of thumb this year is if it doesn't tell you to round, but you know you have to round, okay, then let's round to the nearest thousandths. All right, because you guys should be able to, by 7th grade, know what your thousandths. So you're going to look at your thousandths, and you're going to look at your 10 thousandths, which means the thousandths is the third one over, 285. The 10 thousandths is the 7, so the 7 makes the 5 go up. So we have 4.286. Now comes step, we'll call this step 5. And here it is. Put your units on there. 4.286, and guys, this should be easy because it's right up in here in our proportion. 4.286 inches. It's a word problem, so do not forget your units. All right. So guys, listen. All right. Put 24 is part of your homework. Put a little star there as a reminder to you because we only have one of the answers. I don't want to do the second one. I will explain it to you. All you're doing is you already have this written. So it's a 12 to 42 rate. It's equivalent to x to, and then the next part says 28. So you're just going to replace the 15 with a 28 and solve it all over again. Okay, but you will need 2 answers there. Okay, considering time restrictions. All right, I'm going to give you a different problem to do, but don't forget you need to get that second answer for number 24. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'm going to have you guys try one out. Problem 22. Problem 22. All right, go. How many of you need more time? Okay, a few more seconds. Okay. All right, guys, 30 seconds. Here's what I want you to do. This time I want you to, of course, share your answer, but I want you to share whether or not your neighbor set up the proportion right. Okay, you could take a look at the equation afterwards if you'd like, but especially the proportion, because that's the main part of this problem, is taking it out of the word problem and setting it up right. All right, 30 seconds. Go ahead and share. Go.
Then I got 108 pizzas.
Okay, here we go. Problem number 22. Principal's ordering pizzas for a school pizza party. He knows that 9 pizzas will feed 25 students. There it is. 9 pizzas to 25 students. I can even, if I want to, I can write that right now. 9 pizzas to 25 students. There's our rate. 2 pieces of information related to each other in this particular story. If there are 300 students in the school, how many pizzas will he need to order? So, they want to know, what if there's 300 students? How many pizzas? Okay. So, here we go. We know that 9 times 300 is equal to 25 times x. So, 300 times 9 is equal to 25 times x. So, simplifying, 9 times 300 is 2700 equals 25x. Divide both sides by 25. That cancels, so x, or the number of pizzas that need to be ordered, is 2700 divided by 25. 108, and then we put our units on there. 108 pizzas. All right. Questions on that problem? Okay, really quickly, I want you to take a look at number 26. Okay, 26 through 29 there, see how they're written. Okay, that's basically giving you, it's kind of like the problems we just did. They're actually easier than the problems we just did. They're giving you 2 things that are related to each other, and they have words, but it's not in sentence form. So you're just going to use the same steps that we used right here. Okay. Any questions about that one? All right, guys, so solving proportions.